Veronica Lake once graced the silver screen as an icon of Hollywood's golden age. Audiences adored her beauty and charm, but behind the scenes, her life was riddled with turmoil. In this video, we'll uncover 3 scandalous chapters from Veronica Lake's story that explain her dramatic downfall, each more unbelievable than the last. 1. The secret she couldn't hide. Veronica Lake's first brush with scandal came at the height of her early success. In 1941, at just 19 years old, she landed a lead role in Preston Sturges's film Sullivan's Travels. Unbeknownst to the director and studio, Veronica stepped on set carrying a huge secret. She was 6 months pregnant. Back in the 1940s, a pregnancy could spell doom for an actress's role, so Veronica tried to conceal her condition under loose costumes and clever camera angles. On the first day of filming, however, her condition was obvious. When director Preston Sturges realized his star was visibly expecting, he exploded with anger. Sturges became so enraged that crew members had to physically hold him back from possibly attacking the young actress. Veronica's deception felt like a betrayal to him. After all, a pregnant lead could jeopardize the entire production schedule. It's said she hid the pregnancy out of fear of being fired, a very real possibility in those days. But the revelation created chaos on set. Sturges did not fire Lake ultimately. Instead, the production scrambled to work around her condition, using body doubles and baggy costumes to hide her baby bump. The film was completed successfully, and Sullivan's Travels would go on to become a classic. Yet, the damage to Veronica's reputation had been done. She had openly defied Hollywood's expectations by not disclosing something so critical. Word got out that Veronica was difficult and unpredictable, and this incident marked the beginning of her rift with Hollywood insiders. On set, her behavior didn't help matters either. Perhaps due to stress, hormonal swings, or just her fiery personality, Veronica often snapped at cast and crew during the shoot. She even clashed with her co-star Joel McCrea, who found her attitude unbearable. McCrea later quipped that life's too short for 2 films with Veronica Lake, refusing to work with her again. This stung. Being labeled a pain in the ass by colleagues became a pattern in her career. Still, at this point, Veronica Lake was a huge star. Her signature peekaboo hairstyle, with blonde locks draped over one eye, was a nationwide sensation. She had hit films under her belt. One secret pregnancy scandal wasn't enough to sink her. Not yet. But it planted the seeds of trouble. A studio now wary of her, co-stars bad-mouthing her, and gossip columnists starting to whisper that Veronica wasn't the sweet angel her image suggested. Little did anyone know, this was just the first act of the drama. 2. War bonds and a fall from grace. By the early 1940s, with America in World War II, Veronica Lake was expected to not only make movies, but also do her patriotic duty. She joined other stars touring the country to promote war bonds and boost morale. With her all-American beauty, Veronica was a popular draw at these events, at least initially, but soon, personal tragedy and alcohol would turn a patriotic mission into a public relations nightmare. Behind the glossy studio publicity, Veronica's personal life was unraveling. In 1943, while filming The Hour Before the Dawn, she tripped on a lighting cable on set, which caused her to go into premature labor. She gave birth to a baby boy who tragically died just a few days later. This devastating loss, combined with the strain in her first marriage, sent Veronica into an emotional tailspin. Within weeks of losing her infant son, she filed for divorce from her husband John Detley. The grief and turmoil were immense, and Veronica began drinking heavily to cope. Now, imagine this grieving, stressed young woman still having to appear in public as a cheerful Hollywood starlet selling war bonds. It was a recipe for disaster. At one war bond rally in Boston, Veronica's troubled state became painfully clear. As part of a publicity stunt, she had auctioned herself off to wash dishes and perform in a revue to encourage bond sales. This could have been a charming event, America's sweetheart rolling up her sleeves for the troops, but Veronica's heart just wasn't in it. Observers noted that her talk was on the grim side, and her usually dazzling smile was nowhere to be found. She may have even been under the influence at these appearances, according to rumors, arriving looking rough or hungover on some early mornings. The press, always eager for sensational stories, pounced. powerful gossip columnist, Hedda Hopper, harshly criticized Veronica's performance at the Boston Bond Drive. Hopper wrote that Lake clipped her own wings in her Boston Bond appearance. It's lucky for Lake, after Boston, that she isn't out of pictures. In other words, Veronica had damaged her standing so badly with that one event, she was fortunate not to be blacklisted entirely. This very public slam was a turning point. Patriotic American audiences felt betrayed seeing a war effort event go awry, and studio executives saw it as proof that Lake was trouble. Her image as a sullen, difficult star now spilled beyond studio lots into newspapers nationwide. Adding to the issue, around this time, Veronica made a dramatic change to her trademark looks for the sake of the war effort. A decision that backfired. The U.S. government asked her to change her famous hairstyle, worried that women copying her long, eye-covering bang were getting their hair caught in factory machines. Veronica obliged, cutting her hair into an upswept victory roll style to set a safer example. It was a patriotic gesture, but fans were shocked by the new look, and worse, her next film cast her as a Nazi spy, which audiences hated. The film, The Hour Before the Dawn, flopped, and critics slammed her new image. Suddenly, the magic was gone, the peekaboo allure had vanished. By 1944, Veronica Lake's once skyrocketing career was hitting turbulence. She was now known as the Bee, a rude nickname implying she was very hard to work with. Among some co-stars, she had endured a humiliating public rebuke from Hedda Hopper, and her films were underperforming. She took a short break after the war bond fiasco and personal losses, trying to regain her footing. In interviews, she expressed hope that she could start fresh with better roles. For a brief period, it looked like she might turn it around. She did have a successful movie in 1946, The Blue Dahlia, and attempted a comeback. But the momentum didn't last. The war bond scandal had stained her, and Hollywood was already eyeing younger stars. The Golden Girls' halo was tarnished. 3. Losing her children in Hollywood itself. The final and most heartbreaking scandal in Veronica Lake's story came as her career fizzled out at the end of the 1940s. It wasn't one event, but a series of painful blows that left her life in ruins. This chapter would see Veronica lose her marriage, her children, and nearly every vestige of her Hollywood success. Veronica had married film director André de Toth in 1944 after her first divorce. They had 2 children together, and for a moment it seemed like a chance at stability. But as the late 1940s rolled in, Veronica's career kept faltering. In 1948, Paramount Pictures chose not to renew her contract, essentially ending her tenure as an A-list star. That same year, another scandal erupted. Veronica's own mother sued her for financial support, claiming Veronica wasn't fulfilling a promise to send money now that she was famous. The tabloids had a field day with the mother-daughter feud, splashing ugly headlines about Veronica's family troubles. Though they settled out of court, it further hurt Veronica's reputation and strained her personal life. Without steady studio work, Veronica and her husband de Toth tried independent projects, but nothing panned out. In 1951, their finances hit rock bottom. De Toth's production company went bankrupt, and the IRS seized their home over unpaid taxes. The couple was drowning in debt. Money problems led to bitter arguments and blame. This once glamorous Hollywood pair was now appearing in newspapers not for movie premieres, but for bankruptcy filings and domestic discord. In a dramatic climax, Veronica Lake decided she'd had enough of Hollywood and her marriage. In 1952, at only 29 years old, she walked away from it all. In what sounds like a movie scene, Veronica literally hopped into a private plane and flew solo from Los Angeles to New York, leaving behind her husband, her 6-year-old son and 3-year-old daughter, and the entire Hollywood life. There were no goodbyes or attempts to reconcile. As one account put it, Lake just took off into the sky and never looked back. She later said she never regretted leaving, saying she'd rather live as a real person than become one of the Hollywood walking dead. The fallout was enormous. André de Toth, feeling abandoned, filed for divorce and sought custody of their children almost immediately. Veronica did not even contest it. She effectively lost her children then and there. De Toth was granted custody of their son and daughter, while Veronica started a new life on the opposite coast. The The breakup of their marriage played out in the press with ugly headlines, each side blaming the other for their troubles. Now, Veronica Lake, once a top-billed movie star, was broke, estranged from her kids, twice divorced, and persona non grata in Hollywood. It was the kind of spectacular downfall rarely seen at that time. For Veronica, this was the darkest chapter. Alone in New York, she drifted between cheap hotels, taking whatever work she could find. She tried her hand at summer stock theater and even some TV and stage roles in England, but the big studios had closed their doors to her for good. Worse, her dependence on alcohol only deepened. Over the coming years, she was arrested multiple times for public drunkenness and disorderly conduct. The former film goddess reduced to a tabloid punchline when she'd get hauled in by the police for being intoxicated in public. Veronica had gone from Hollywood's dream to a cautionary tale of the dream gone wrong.